How you doing, everybody? Nick DiVirgilio here, and this is the Alesis Strike MultiPad. Multipads have been around for many years now, and they're great for drummers, percussionists. They're great in the recording studio, but where they really shine is on the live stage, because you can do so many things with them. You can run the whole show from your multipad. You can trigger acoustic sounds, percussion sounds, sound effects, drum loops, so many other things. And Alesis has taken their multipad, their version of the multipad, and injected it with musical steroids, giving you tons of content. It's super easy to use. It sounds great. So come on with me. Let's dive into the Alesis Strike MultiPad. In order to keep this video somewhat short, because this machine is pretty deep, we could be here for hours having a good time playing with the Strike MultiPad. I'm going to send you through some of the highlights, some of the sounds of the kits, and what this machine does. Let's talk about what this machine has in it first. What it has on top is 9 velocity-sensitive pads, 3 up here on top and 6 in the middle, and you'll also see that there's lights associated with each pad. And these lights have functions. They light up when you hit it, they show you if there's a loop there, if there's a particular drum there. We'll get to the details of the lights as we go. There's over 7,000 sounds internally in the Strike MultiPad. There's about 6 GB of content. And there's acoustic sounds, percussion sounds, melodic sounds, all kinds of loops of any shape and size, styles. It's really cool, and they all sound fantastic. There's also 32 GB of storage internally in the machine, so that's a ton of space for your sounds, for your own samples. But if you need more space, there's a slot for a USB flash drive in the back where you can store your samples there, load your samples into the machine from there, put your custom kits on the flash drive, whatever you need. So there's a ton of space already in the machine. Add the flash drive to it, and you're good to go for a long time. The Strike MultiPad has its own sampler. You can sample from the 1/4-inch inputs. You have USB to MIDI back here. You can sample directly from your computer, from your iPhone, anything you want, and the sampler is very easy to use to add effects to your sounds. I'll show you how it works in just a second. The Strike MultiPad has its own looper, which is very easy to use and very cool. You get 5 built-in effects processors in the Strike MultiPad on all kinds of great effects, from obviously reverbs, delays, flangers, choruses, compressors, distortion, amp models, all kinds of stuff. They all sound really good as well. This is also a 2x2 USB interface. Now, I plugged this into my computer in my office, and inside of Ableton and of Pro Tools, it showed up there as an interface without any driver installation. It was just showed up automatically, which is fantastic. So you can play sounds from your computer. You can load in samples, like I said, from your computer, and it just couples together seamlessly. You can expand your Strike MultiPad because it has 4 trigger inputs on the back, even one for hi-hat. So if you want to have a hi-hat pedal while you're playing it, more kind of a realistic kit, it's easily doable. Lots of inputs and outputs for routing, which is very easy to do as well there. And finally on the multipad here is this beautiful 4.3-inch display right in the center. It's really easy to look at. It's easy to navigate through the menus. The lights on the pads correspond with the lights in the screen. It's a really cool setup. So now with all that being said, let's get into the sounds of the multipad right now. All right, let's start off with some regular acoustic sounds. Really cool, fat sounding drum sounds all the way through the machine. Now these have some effects on them and some EQ and stuff like that, which you can all do on the inside, but really just plug it in and go and have some fun. Now before I get to the next sound, you're seeing all the lights associated with the pads here. You program these lights however you want. The color assortment is endless, right? Now what you're looking at, you see the one here in the middle, it's flashing white. The way the light is flashing right now is the actual tempo of the loop that is on that pad. See the lights flashing about here, hit the loop. That's very cool, but then when I hit the pad, you'll also see the light just kind of going slowly across. That's going the length of the loop. Once it gets to the end of the loop, it'll go back and cycle around again and start back at the top. So you're visually seeing what the loop is doing on the pad without seeing like the waveform on a computer screen. You can tell that there's a loop there. Other things, you see the different colors, and you program however you want, but a lot of people that I've talked to at Alesis, like they always put snare drums on a red pad. Kick drums are always sort of a dark blue. Toms are light blue. You program it however you want, but that's sort of a general thing. Now let's get into a different sound. Like I said, there's 7,000 sounds inside the Strike MultiPad and some really fun ones. You could pretty much score a horror movie with this next one right here, the Knife Jogger. Here we go. Don't be scared. All right, let's get on to the next kit now. I'm going to skip up a couple here. I'm going to go to one called Ham and Beans. Now again, fun features in the Strike MultiPad. Look at the lights up here. You see stuff going on. You see the flashing of the blue and the red here. That's telling me there's a loop there, and that is the tempo of that loop. Here's the sounds though. First, now you're looking at the one over here on the right. There's a white light going back and forth. Check this out. You can place effects on different pads and have that turn off and on the effect. So what's going on here is that there's a filter effect on this pad right here, and as I play the other sounds, I'll turn the filter on and off, and you'll definitely hear the difference in the sound. Check it out. I'll show you that one more time. Here we go. I'll start the loop. Now right now the filter is not on. But in the LCD screen right here, right under filter, once I hit this pad, filter is now on. You can see the light come on and off. It's on, it's off. It's on, it's off. Super cool and really creative. So you can customize your multi-pad however you want and really take advantage of all the effects and different fun things they have inside the machine. I love this one. I don't think it needs any explanation. Here we go. I can name that drum fill in however many beats that was. Ha ha ha. Super cool. Now, if you need to add some fun sounds like that to your acoustic kit in your show, it's so easy to do. They're right there for you. A lot of really fun melodic sounds are in the machine, and it's just, you can get really creative with it. Check this one out. This particular kit is called Pluck This. Now the lights for this particular kit are set up a different way. It's all white right now, or sort of a kind of a mellow white, but once I hit the pad, this particular sound, the ones on top turn orange, the rest turn blue, and then as this sound fades away, the light, the blue light, or the orange light will fade away and turn back into that sort of light grayish white. It's really cool. Check this out. It's really light blue, and as the sound dies off, it gets a little bit darker, and then it'll go back to the white when that particular sample is finished. Now, if you're familiar with Alesis SamplePad, there's something on that machine called mute groups, where you can tell one pad, when you hit it, to do something else to the other pads. This particular kit has a bunch of cajon samples around all the 9 pads, but all you have to do is hit one pad. It randomly goes through all of the sounds on each 9 pad, and all you have to do is hit one. Check this out. You'll see the lights switching around the 9 pads, even though I'm only hitting one. So what you can do is you can perform it like a cajon. It makes it easier to perform. Rather than have to hit all the 9 pads, you just hit 2 or 1, and you get all of the sounds that are programmed around the 9 pads. Here we go. Now, before we move on, let's get into some other fun sounds that are here. This one's called drum corps. If you play drums in the drum corps in your marching band, these sounds are pretty realistic. Check these out. Again, the orange light is following that gong sample until it's completely done, and then it'll fade back into the original light that is on that pad. Who doesn't love a great gong sound? We talked about loops inside the machine that come in the box. You can set up different loops on each of the 9 pads. So if you have a particular song in your performance, it's very easy to have different loops throughout the song mapped through the 9 pads. This particular kit's called Synth Loops. It just has different synth loops on all the 9 pads, hence the name. Here we go. And to round out some of the playing examples of the sounds on the Strike MultiPad, lots of really cool melodic sounds, nice typical xylophone, marimbas, bells, orchestral percussion instruments. And you could set up the pitch any way you like. On this particular kit, it's just a bell sound, and it's set up in a major scale. The reason I played you that sound, I wanted to show you how easy it is to put melodic pitches throughout the 9 pads. You don't have to have major key. You could put minor keys, anything like that. And use this in a Broadway production or some kind of school production. It's so easy to have those kinds of sounds played on the Alesis Strike MultiPad, and it's going to sound great coming through your PA. Let's get into the sampler function on the Alesis Strike MultiPad. I've set up a user kit that has no sounds on it at all. So I'm going to hit Kit, go to User, and I picked number 10. So it has nothing on it at all. When I hit the sample button, which is just over here on the right, you'll see the 9 pads over here. Now I strike whichever pad I want to put the sample on, okay? It follows my stick. So I'm just going to go to this pad right over here on my bottom right. I have a microphone plugged into a small little Mackie mixer, and the mixer is coming directly back into the Strike MultiPad here. Let me show you how easy it is. You have 6 buttons below the LCD screen, and one right there says Arm to Record. So you do that, it's ready to record. As soon as you hit that button, the Strike MultiPad is recording. Here we go. Here's the sample. Okay, now I'm going to save that in order to edit it. So I just hit Save, which is right next to the play button. Give it a second while it saves. After the sound is saved, it takes you back to the overall kit here. In each sound, on each pad here, you can have up to 2 sounds, Wave A or Wave B. Now Wave is right here on number 1 of the 6 buttons at the bottom of the screen here. That's Wave B, this is Wave A. There's the sample I just made. Over to the right, it says Edit. This is where you use this wheel over here on the right. You can go to change any of the parameters on this page or any other page. I'm just going to go down to Edit, Start, End, and then press this wheel. There you go. Now you can see the sample I just made. These 2 A-Link knobs over here on the bottom left of the Strike MultiPad do a lot of different things. But in the sample mode, this is where you're going to truncate the sample so you can get it at the right starting point. So with the left knob, I'm cutting out the empty space at the top of the sample. And with the right knob, I'm cutting out however much space I don't want at the end. So let's get right up to it. Hit play to audition. There you go. Now I'm going to save that. So now when I hit this pad, that should be there. Now, you can do a lot of fun things here. You can normalize this particular sample, which means bring up the volume. You can change the pitch. Let's do that right now. Go down to pitch, hit the button. I don't know, I'm going to turn this down, say 420 cents. And I'm going to hit overwrite. That's changing the pitch now. There you go. Now when I hit the sample, it should be lower in pitch. What happened there is, you notice that the sample didn't start right away. Since I lowered the pitch, it put some empty space at the beginning. So now we got to go back to the Start Edit. There's the sample. Take your A-Link knob, get to the beginning of the sample. Audition, hit save, and you're good to go. Now say I want to put an effect on that particular sample I just made. It's totally easy to do. Hit Pad. You can see what pad you're working with. Now go over to Kit Effects, which is just over here on my left, 2 buttons above the left A-Link knob. Hit Kit Effects. Right now it's on bypass. So there's nothing going on. Now you notice when I was playing some of the other kits, some pads had one effect while there was no effect on another pad. This is where you set that up. In here you have 3 effects. You assign different effects to different pads however you see fit. So I'm going to hit Effects Edit number 1. We're there. Assign. You press down the Assign button and it put an effect on any pad. You hit the pad and the effect's going to go there. So I'm going to hold that down, hit this pad. That pad lights up in the LCD screen. Now something is going to happen on that pad. So right where it says bypass, that's where all the effects live. I turn the knob. Now there's going to be reverb. Right? How about some delay? Not in time with what I played, but there's a delay there, right? All kinds of great things. A chorus, flangers, phasers, and so on. That's an amplifier sound, so you can give a little distortion, you can give some compression, anything you want you can do, and it's just as simple as that. Assign it to a pad, put an effect on it, start making music right away. Now we're going to get into the looper function inside the Alesis Strike MultiPad. Super easy to use. At the bottom of the main screen, when you're on the performance screen, see all kinds of things down here. You'll see all of your effects at the bottom. It says delay, reverb, reverb, and reverb. Whatever you have set up for that particular kit's going to be there. And the far right button, it says view. When you press that button, you're now in the looper view. Okay? Very simple to do. Hit arm to record and you're good to go. But before I do that, let me show you that there is a metronome function on this Alesis Strike MultiPad that is also easy to use, and it's easily routable. Right above the big circular knob right here, you see BPM, where you change the BPM of whatever you're working on, and also the metronome button. When I press it, you see it flashing, but you're not hearing any sound. That's because I don't have it routed to the main outputs. It's very easy to do. Just hold down that button for a couple of seconds. Another screen comes up, and then you scroll down to the bottom where it says output, press it. Now it's coming out of the main outputs and the phones. You can also set it up to where you can have it coming out of the phones and the aux output. So maybe you can send the click to the rest of the band. Wherever you want it to go, that's where it'll go. So right now, so we can hear the tempo for this particular demonstration. Let's get out of here. There you go. Turn the click on so I can hear it. Now I'm going to go make this loop. When you hit arm to record, it's going to give you 1 bar of countdown, and then you're looping. It's set up for 4 bars. You can set up however many bars you want, but this particular part is for 4 bars. Here we go. Arm to record. Start record. 2, 3, go. Now you can keep adding on top of that loop as much as you want, make it as big and thick and sounding as you want, or keep it nice and simple, however you want. Then you can save the loop to the internal memory, assign it to a pad, and you're good to go. Let me quickly take you through the top buttons and knobs up here in the machine. Again, it's really easy to use. Your main screenshot is going to be under Perform. You'll see the kits there. If you want to change a kit, you'd use the plus and minus buttons to change your kit, and it loads and you're good to go there. If you want, you can also see the kits in another screen. You can hit the button Kit, and you also see the names of the kits on the left. And you can use your jog wheel and go through the different kits that way. When you're in this particular setting, you can rename the kit. You can name your user kits. You can copy them from a preset position to a user position, all within this screen right there. Just above the plus and minus buttons, you have a few other buttons here. Sound. This is where you find all of the sounds that are loaded inside the memory or the USB flash drive. Anywhere there's a sound inside the Alesis Strike Pad, you find it in here. And it's very simple to use. Whenever you get to a certain section that you want to navigate, use your jog wheel here, press it, that highlights white, and then when you turn that, you'll be finding whatever sounds are in that particular menu. When you want to get out, hit it again. It goes from white to blue. Then you go to a different section. Hit the button, it turns white, and then you're changing that particular piece. It's very easy to use. Remember, when it's white, you're adjusting. When it's blue, you're moving it to another position to adjust there. The utility button is where you change your MIDI functions, your audio ins and outs. You can assign your triggers there, assign the pedals. There's room for pedals in the back of the machine, like I talked about, your system thing where you can change, update your firmware, the display brightness, all of that kind of stuff, and also your USB backup is in the utility section. The pad button is where you're going to do a lot of features for the individual pads. You can change the sensitivity, you can change the mode, your mute groups like I talked about before, ins and outputs. Here's the special part right here, the lights. You pick a pad. Right now it's set to the coral color of this particular pad. Hit the button, it turns white. You change it to any color you want. You can see this particular pad changing the colors as I'm moving the knob. This is also where you set the light to either scroll through the length of the sample, like certain ones are doing, to flash the tempo, or anything else like that. You do it in that section right there. Then you have the sample button where you do all of your sampling, just like I showed you a second ago, and then panic. Panic is very cool. When you have something going on stage, a loop, something's going on, and then something goes wonky in your performance. You hear things going off time, or you hear the wrong sound. Whenever that happens, the panic button is there to stop all sounds coming out of the Strike MultiPad, just in case. Then you have your metronome button, like I showed you, just above the jog wheel there, your BPM button, which also has tap tempo. You can change the BPM with the jog wheel like that, but then the two buttons at the bottom under the word tap tempo, you can hit those and tap the tempo of whatever BPM you want right there. Very cool feature. Now let's go over to the left side of the box over here. You have your two A-Link knobs. Like I showed you how you can truncate samples and do a lot of other things with the A-Link knobs right there. Then you have kit effects, master effects, and pad cue. Kit effects this is where you place certain effects on certain pads, okay? You can see the 3 different effects chains at the bottom of the main LCD screen, and you put a different kit, a different effect on this pad, and a different effect on that pad, reverb here, delay there, distortion there, whatever you want to do. Master effects is the effects for the whole kit. This is where you can add compression to the kit. Compression is great for your acoustic drum sounds and so on, EQs, and effects as well. The last of the 3 buttons over here on the left is pad cue. When you hit pad cue, you set up whatever pad you want. Again, you just hit the pad and it follows you. You could put something on there so just only you hear it. It's like cueing the top of a song. You could put a count off on that particular pad for the rest of the band to hear. Something like that. And again, a very cool performance feature. Then the knobs at the top over there are your main volume, your aux volume, and your phone's volume. There's 2 headphone jacks on the Alesis Strike MultiPad. Just below the A-Link knobs, there's an 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch input jack for your headphones. Let's quickly go through all of the inputs and outputs on the back of the machine. First, you have your power, then you have a USB flash drive slot, and then a USB to MIDI slot right here. Again, you can easily talk to your computer with the Alesis Strike MultiPad. It is a 2-in and 2-out interface. Next to the USB MIDI is your regular 5-pin MIDI jacks. You can control other pieces of gear with the Alesis Strike MultiPad with those MIDI jacks right there. Next to the MIDI is your main left and right out. Next to that is your auxiliary left and right out. And below the outputs there are your trigger inputs, your 4 trigger inputs. Next to your main inputs and outputs is your recording in input. This is where you sample into the machine. So you plug in right there, and you also have a gain knob right into the left and right input where you can set the gain just right so you're not distorting your input jack, and that's how you sample into the machine again, all right? Just below the 2 recording input jacks are your 2 foot switch jacks where you can plug in foot switches to change kits with your feet rather than doing with the buttons on top of the machine. Whatever you want to plug in there, you can. There you have it, everybody, the Alesis Strike MultiPad. So easy to use, so musical, ton of sound options. Very easy to navigate, very easy to use. Put it on a live stage, all these great lights shining back at you. You'll never hit the wrong pad with these lights here. It sounds great, it feels great, it's an awful lot of fun to play. If you want any more information about this Alesis product or any other Alesis product, just contact your Sweetwater sales engineer. Thanks a lot for watching.